Alright guys, I figured out that the Magna had a clutch leak. I've already actually pulled this apart once and figured it out and pulled it out, so you guys won't see any fluid come out when I pull these. I kind of just put it back together to be able to show you guys the step-by-step process because I didn't record it the first time, so this is just wasted time on my part, but should be helpful to anyone out there looking to do this themselves. In my case, I've discovered it's just the gasket that the slave cylinder mounts up to, like, the body. So I've got that here, and I'm going to pull this all apart for you guys step by step, and then we'll put it back together and fill it back up and bleed it, and we'll get this clutch working again. So first things first, 8mm bolt here. This just holds on to this little plastic cover. I don't even know why this thing's here. There's really nothing that needed to be covered here. It's also got two just kind of pins, pop into little rubber grommets. Your typical stuff, really. What you just saw there, in case this happens to you, is a spacer. It goes into the hole of what we just pulled that bolt out of, because it's a long reach bolt, if you can see. So that spacer there just kind of sturdies everything up and aligns it with the hole. So if that falls out, now you'll know how to get it back in there. So yeah, 8mm bolt right there, and then now we're here at the problem. Can you see this here? This is, let me see if I can lift that out of the way. There's your clutch line right there running in. 12mm banjo bolt. So now we'll bust that out. So yeah, like I said, all this is just hand tight because I kind of just put it back together for you guys. Be careful when you pull this banjo bolt, or any banjo bolt really. You're going to have a washer on each side of that fitting. I don't know if you guys can really see that washer. It's sticking pretty good to the head here, but don't lose the washer on the other side of the fitting. All right, now that we've disconnected the clutch line itself, only thing holding it in are 3 8mm bolts. See if I can tilt this up here. One up in the top left, one right there, and one, you can't really see this one, but my finger's touching it. You'll see it. The only thing is this cable or whatever is in the way, but just 3 bolts, 3 8mm. So go ahead and pull those out. So here's the only difference is, like I said, you got 3 8mm bolts. The two on the left side, or closer to the front of the bike, are longer. The one on the right side, closer to the rear of the bike, shorter. You'll see that here in just a second. This is also a left side bolt, so this is another longer one. And there we are. Slave cylinder's out. Let me see if I can lift it out for you guys. Then we'll take it to the bench, get the new gasket on, and mount her up again. Alright guys, I wanted to show you this just because it was kind of interesting. When I ordered this off of eBay, it did mention that they had parts located in America, meaning it would get here quicker, instead of having to ship from China. But then on their paperwork I see, it looks like they're an actual like USA-based company. I don't know if you can read that there. And then this little sticker you probably definitely won't be able to read, but it says designed and assembled here in the USA. So I don't know how true that is, but I thought that was kind of cool. It's always nice to support some USA businesses before buying the Chinese stuff. And these guys were right on par price-wise with the Chinese ones anyway, so couldn't beat it. Okay, so now that we got our new gasket on there, we're just going to reverse the process. The 3 8mm bolts are going back in to mount this up. Like I said, the two longer ones go on the left-hand side, closest to the front of the bike. Short one on the right. All right, and that leaves us with just the 12mm banjo bolt to put on, and then we can refill the master cylinder on the handlebar and bleed it out. So 12mm banjo bolt going on now. Again, when reinstalling, you also want to be careful that you get that washer onto the other side. Don't drop it or lose it. Pull it out here just to show you. And there we are. Slave cylinder is completely reassembled. Now we gotta bleed it out, and then we can throw this cover back on after we check and verify it's done leaking. So as you guys can see here, this right here under this rubber cap is the 8mm bleed screw. I know it's rusted, but when I had it off the bike, I mounted it up in the vise and broke it loose just so I wouldn't run into any issues with it on the bike. So it will work for me. 8mm bleed screw, and then I'll take you up top to the master cylinder, show you kind of filling it up and pumping it out and whatnot. Nice thing about this is you can do it with one person because you're on the left side of the bike. So one hand can work the clutch while the other brakes and fastens this bleed screw as needed. All right, so I've tried my best to get you guys a camera angle of what we're going to be doing here during the bleeding process. I don't know if you can see down here, I got my wrench set up on the bleed screw, and then I got like a tube. It's hopefully going to run down into a catch pan. We'll be filling up the master cylinder here and kind of just pumping it through for starters. Sorry. And then once we get a little bit of pressure in there, then I'll start bleeding it. Alright, so don't look like that idea is going to work. I think I'm going to have to crack this bleeder and let it just run through by itself before I start truly bleeding it. Okay, so got the clutch bled and everything's working. I think you guys caught a little bit of me bleeding the slave cylinder with the bleeder screw, but I had some issues actually getting a firm clutch handle. I ended up having to bleed this master cylinder as well. If any of you guys run into that, what you have to do is pull this little cover off. This is a 12mm screw. Banjo bolt, just like down there that mounts to the slave cylinder. To bleed the master cylinder, what you do is as you pull this in, you crack this open, and then you want to make sure you get it closed by the time you hit the end of the handle, like down here, and then release, and you do that over and over again, and that'll firm your clutch right up and get it working like it should. Because you can't, if it went dry like mine did, you can't just bleed from the slave cylinder. You also have to bleed this master cylinder up here. So I know I didn't get that on video, but like I said, crack this as you pull the handle in. Make sure you close it before you release the handle. Do that a few times and it'll firm right up.